With regards to your book, why did you want to format it as a picture book?
I've always liked picture books. I remember reading I Want My Hat Back. I don't remember who John Son wrote it and illustrated it, and I genuinely loved it. I loved the vibe, I loved the aesthetic. I was like, oh, I want to do something like this. And even as a kid, when I couldn't write, like when I was about 4, you can probably write when you're 4. When I was a bit younger than 4, I would force my cousin to write for me, and I would draw all the pictures, and I'd be like, oh, look at this thing that I've made, so all my family would be like, oh, good job. But yeah, it's just something I've always wanted to do, and it's so fun that I get to actually sort of live a dream in a way. It's so nice.
Picture books are one of the most important formats, especially in my opinion. They're incredible for children, and there needs to be more diversity within them. This is probably a question that everyone's going to ask, but so what was your biggest challenge during creating this?
I find that the story came pretty naturally. I like 2 things, aunties and pasta. What if I put a silly chef out? Aunties are perfect. But it came to the rhyming, because I'm not a poet. A lot of help came from my sister. I'd be sitting in a room while she's trying to do her A levels or whatever. It's like, Hannah, you've got more important things to do. What rhymes with ants? And it's she spent a few months doing that. I'm pretty sure she wanted to kill me by the end. But the rhyming genuinely killed me. I hated it. But it's definitely worth it. I wouldn't want a book that doesn't rhyme. But oh my god, I want to rip my hair out.
Rhyming picture books are the best. When we do story time and things in the library, they're the ones you go for, because they get kids to be the most engaged, because they want to guess what the word is. But it is a challenge, and some of the words in that book, finding the rhyme, it was quite difficult. But I'm really you did. So with regards to Comics U, what does it mean to you to be a published author, and do you think that you wouldn't have that access to that industry without marginalised publishing and Comics U?
I definitely wouldn't be able to do this without Marginal. I struggle to read, and the thought of big contracts and people who won't be sat there literally next to you guiding you, I just wouldn't be able to do it. It's been a dream for me, genuinely. It's so nice to have Marginal be there every step of the way. And if I was ever confused, I wouldn't be terrified to write an email. It didn't have to be highly professional. I could put a little smiley face at the end of it, and I wouldn't feel scared. But yeah, they wouldn't use big words, and it was so pleasant and nice, and they just held my hand the entire way.
I think what you'll hear a lot about today with the different talks and the workshops and things is that publishing is not accessible, and it is quite a challenge to get into, and a lot of creative people aren't really good at the business talk, are they? So somewhere like marginalised publishing is amazing because it does that business talk for you and helps you with it. But it's a challenge. So in regards to the barriers, and if you're comfortable talking about them, what are the ones that are the barriers in publishing and in creating in general that you personally face, and then how did you overcome them, and would you have overcome any of them? But specifically to you and
I find that companies don't really want to try people who haven't had experience before. So I've just rocked up to companies hi, I've never done this before, but I have a fun idea for a book. They'd be no, come back when you've got A, B, and C. I was I don't know how to get those things. I also personally struggle with reading, and it is just a lot of long texts, and I was I'm so overwhelmed. Even now, I'll go to my family, will you read this out, and try and make it smaller so my little brain can understand it all. But yeah, they just don't really want to try and take a chance on younger, less experienced people. Marginal would definitely take me on.
It is quite important to have somewhere in the industry that you can go to, because we we all writers want to publish. So this is our final question, and then if you're okay with it, we'll maybe do a Q&A, so if you've got any questions, think about them. So, when it comes to picture books, a good picture book is one that has a very good theme and it teaches children. But it's also engaging, and the illustrations and the story you want to match up for especially for the younger ones who can't read yet, but they see the pictures. And the illustrations in this are amazing. But within your book, what are the most important themes, and how would you describe, how are they important to children? Like, what was it about those themes that drew you into the creative process?
One big theme about the book is teaming up with people that you wouldn't normally team up with. Obviously, Archie and the aunties are why would they normally team up? But I find that it's just a simple story of reaching out for help and trying out new things. I've had people message me being like, "Oh, I read your book today, it was really nice, I decided to cook today instead of ordering in." And it's just a nice little thing that I've put into the world, and I can see the impact from it. It's so nice.
I forgot the first question. So the first question was actually going to be, do you want to describe your book? Because I feel like that's the most important part, and I just completely forgot.
I probably should have. My book is about Archie, who's a little anteater who's tired of eating ants every single day. Probably flavourless and boring. So he says goodbye to his mum, and he goes on a little adventure to an ant hill, and he teams up with the ants and makes a little ant and anteater restaurant so they can enjoy pasta and different foods together.
And the illustrations are absolutely, they're so beautiful. They're very charming. It's just a charming book. It's something, if I had a little one, I'd So, does anyone have any questions? No? Oh, I can tell
you were saying about how you like spaghetti, you like anteaters. Was it just a happy accident of the shape of the spaghetti being kind of fitting for the shape of the anteater's mouth? Because I just thought, again, it was absolutely adorable in terms of the concept of it.
It was kind of a mix of both, because the story began because I made my own little handmade cookbook. I was like, oh, I should make a book about that. And I was like, oh no, anteaters instead. But then I started to get the image of, instead of the pink tongue, it's just spaghetti. My circle spaghetti is just little pink tongue. It's just sort of silly like that. I really like the idea of.
Hi. How old were you when you started thinking about writing a book, or was it through school, or did you actually go to somewhere, or did you go to Marginal or somewhere similar to start yourself getting into it, basically? Can you hear that?
Yes.
As I've said, I've always wanted to write books since I was a kid, but Archie came from, I was going through a really rough patch, I was having really bad mental health issues, and this all came from my sister, and she was like, you should do something with yourself, and I said, oh, okay. And so I just started writing this book, and then I mentioned it offhandedly in one of the comedy sessions, and he was like, oh, we have a place where you can go get your book published and do all that. But the book came from a bad mental state, but now it's blossomed into this thing that I can look at and see other people appreciate. And I've always had that little bit of storyteller in me. When did I start writing Archie? Was it when 14, 15? 15. Right about 15. I'm 17 now. But yeah.
Any other questions?
Joe, first of all, I just want to say how incredibly proud I am of your records. And I was just wondering, you said that writing Archie came from having problems with mental health, and the person over here asked was it from school that you had this idea? And I was just wondering, would you share your experience, the connection between Archie and between like your school education? Does that make sense?
You can tell they've gone red, definitely gone red. I struggled with school really badly. I had to drop out of high school. It just wasn't working for me. I'm autistic, and I don't think they really know how to deal with someone who was different. But like Archie was very much escapism for me. Because I had such a bad experience with school, I just needed something to think about and pick me back up and give me a project to keep working on instead of rotting in bed all day. I found that cooking was a great way to just do something every day. I'd get up and I'd go, I wonder what to make again. I know, I'll make pasta for the fifth time in a row. Let's go. But it was a really nice way of expressing myself, and I'd give it to my family and they'll be like, oh, thank you. I was like, oh, I done something good today. And Archie just came from that.
Is there time for another question? I think there was another question.
Yeah, okay. You got to go ahead.
Is there a recipe for the pasta?
You know what? I have been making my own little handmade cookbook. So maybe I can link a few pages. The actual cookbook that I've got at home is the Frankie cookbook, Frankie's my little dog. I drew little doodles of me and her in chef hats making pasta together. And that's because originally it was just going to be like a zine of like, here's me and Frankie making a fun recipe, and now it's turned into that. But if you want me to link a few pages of the cookbook, definitely, I'll be able to.
On that, do you want to share your social medias and things so that people can find you?
I am on Instagram at @arte_nonsense. That's pretty much it. I think you'll just find me anywhere under that name. I think it's a silly one. Why not?
Any other questions? Oh, I don't know if the mic will reach that. I could meet you halfway. Shimmy. Very good.
Thanks. I wanted to ask about the illustrations. Which came first, the story, or doodles or ideas in your head, or how did it fall in place along with the story? Does that make sense?
You don't want an actual story, you're not able to
the story came first. Don't get me wrong, it was a very rough version of the story. But the story came first, and it took me a really long time to figure out how to characterise Archie. At the beginning, he looked more like a bear than anything, and I was like, okay, I've got to really exaggerate the big nose. But yeah, it was a really rough story. You can see on my first draft, it's page 1, sit at table, page 2, hungry. But through that, I eventually came the little book that it is today, the little silly grey fella. I love him.
Any others? We done? Is there anything you want to mention before the Q&A ends?
Gonna do the really boring, annoying thanks for my family. I'm staring at them right now. Thank you so much. It genuinely wouldn't be the same without my really annoying, does this rhyme? Does this look good? Every other day. I don't know how you put up with me. Thank you. It was the week of my sister's A-levels, and I was like, maybe instead of getting grades, you should help me make a silly book. And she got the grades on the silly book, so I think it all turned out well.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Please check out Archie's Grand Plan. Are you going to be signing it?
I don't know if I'm going to be asked to, but I will if you want me to.
There is a table.
Oh yeah. yeah, about making a little comic or zine and trying to pick out themes and fun colours, so I'll be there if you need me.
Thank you all for coming today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will pass it back to Scully.